Good evening. It's after midnight, and before I turn in for the evening, I just wanted to share something with you. Um, so many hurting people out there in the world. I went to the recovery house where I go and minister to the women, and I went last night. We had a lady. I'm going to try not to cry tonight. I had a lady to go with us. We invited her to go. She was a street person who we have met through extended arms. And we asked her to go. And to our surprise, I didn't know that she would go. I really didn't. She showed up. She showed up just minutes before we got in the car. And she went with us. She wants to be free. I would that you would pray for her. I'm not going to give her name. God knows who she is. But we went to the recovery house, and I whispered and told one of the girls who she was, and that we wanted to check out the house. We got clearance before we went because they said as long as someone stays with her the whole time, you're welcome to bring her. Because it's like a story that I heard. There was a little boy, and he was at the ocean, and some of you know I found like tons of starfish this year. Never done that before. Never found a starfish before. But I found like 50 starfish, me and some of my friends. And there was a story that I had heard years ago about a little boy who was at the beach, and he saw all these starfish and was throwing them back in the water as fast as he could. And this old guy came by walking, and he said, "Excuse me, son," said, "why are you throwing those back in there? You'll never get all those starfish back in there. You'll never get them thrown back in the water." And he said, "Sir, I'm going to do my best. I'm going to do one at a time." Out there on the street, those people need ministered to one at a time. I saw it with my own eyes. This girl wants help, but there's such bondage. But we went to the house, and we whispered and told a couple of the girls the situation. I have never seen love. I've never seen love shown like I did that night. This girl's got a bag. One of them went to their room, and they bring her something. When we left, she had a change of clothes. She had clothes. She had towels, shampoo, a pack of cigarettes one of them gave her, food, snacks, drinks. Because they know they've been there before. As I was ministering, I came up with something a few days back. When faith met grace. How does faith meet grace? I'll give you my idea of it. I'll read in Matthew just a few chapters. Now Jesus says, just fed the multitude. He's tired. Thousands and thousands of people are around him. He just needs to get away. We've all been at that state to where we just want to get away. Spend some time with the Lord. But here we have him, and he had gone up to the mountain and was praying, spending some alone time. The other disciples, they got in the boat and they started on. All the winds were picked up in the middle of the storm. Matthew 14 and 25 says, 26. And when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, "It's a spirit." And they cried out with fear. But straightway Jesus spoke unto them, saying, "Be of good cheer. It is I, be not afraid." And Peter answered him and said, "Lord, if it be thou, biddeth me to come unto thee on the water." And he said, "Come." And when Peter was come down out of the ship, he walked on the water. He walked on the water to Jesus. Peter had the faith to get out of the ship. He had faith to make a move, and that step of faith. You know, they say that first step is the hardest. That first step is the hardest. And Peter answered and said unto him, "Lord, if that's you, bid me to come unto thee." And he said, "Come." And when Peter was come down out of the ship, he walked on the water to Jesus. But when he saw his surroundings, when he saw the wind, the boisterous wind, when he saw the seas breaking, when he saw the darkness, when he saw, think about it. Think about what he saw, the roaring of the sea. When he saw it, he was afraid, and he began to sink, and he cried, saying, "Lord, save me." And immediately Jesus stretched forth his hand and caught him and said unto them, "O thou of little faith, wherefore dost thou doubt?" Why, Peter, do you doubt? Why did you doubt? You were walking on water. You had faith. But Peter turned his eyes from Christ. But Jesus was right there. Grace was right there. When faith reached out his hand, when Peter reached out his hand, grace picked him back up. Take that step in faith. Christ is right there. He's right there. And he wants to reach out his hand of grace to you. I told the girls last night, justice, and a lot of them have been to court. Justice is when you get what you deserve. Mercy is when you don't get what you deserve. And grace is when you get what you don't deserve. My friends, how many times have we had that grace and that mercy of God? Faith, Hebrews 11:1 says, faith is the substance of things not seen. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. We can't see it, but we know. You know, and there's things that in my life, I know what I know that God has told me. You just have to step there in faith. Just be patient. Help is on the way. I read a story about a little boy. He was playing baseball. And the coach said, he was playing third base, and the coach said, "Son, why don't you throw the ball to home? Why don't you throw it into the home plate?" He said, "Because," he said, "I'm afraid I can't get it in there to the catcher." And the coach looked at him and he said, "Son, we have a good catcher. He'll catch it." I'm telling you today, reach out your hand. Let that faith reach out, because we got a good catcher. When we fall, Jesus is right there to pick us up. Then my mind went back to the woman with the issue of blood. She had spent everything she had. No money left, no resources left. She'd heard about this man named Jesus. And she said, I either have the faith that he's going to heal me or I'm going to die. And she said, this is a gift that my sister brought me back from Israel. She said, Jesus had a shawl on much like this, a prayer shawl. And she said, if I can just touch the hem of his garment, if I can just reach out and touch the hem of his garment, I know that I will be made whole. If I can just reach out and touch the hem. Her faith was in touching the hem of that garment. And guess what? Jesus met her right there. He met her right there, friends. Which reminds me of a song. Of course, everybody that knows me knows everything reminds me of a song. And it goes like this. The room grew still as she made her way to Jesus, for it was her last hope of ever being healed. So she stretched forth until she touched his garment. Right then and there, her miracle was fulfilled. This is to somebody out there. Have you prayed and prayed, and still you've heard no answer? And has your faith grown weak, and you feel you're all alone? Child, don't give up, for the God we serve, he still loves you. And there's a miracle in the making for you today. There's a miracle in the making, one for you. The Father, he's working even now. Your prayer has been heard, and the answer's on the way. For there's a miracle in the making for you today. Your prayer has been heard, and the answer's on the way. And there's a miracle in the making for you today. I believe that, my friend. Just reach out. Let your faith reach out. And when it does, grace will take your hand. Oh, he's real. This is real. And to my friend that's out there on the street, she chose not to go last night to be dried out so she can get in the home. But she's going to, because I have faith that she's going to make that decision. Such a battle in her mind. She looked at me. She sat in the car probably an hour and a half after we were finished. And she said, I don't like being sick. I said, darling, you don't have to be sick. There is hope for you. But you have to make the first step. And I'm made to believe that God is going to continue to deal with her And she will take that step of faith, and we will hear a testimony, and I'll let you know when she does it. God bless you. Good night. Now I think I can sleep.